Good morning, absolutely wonderful to see you all again. This is a very special video because it's for all ages. It doesn't matter if you're the youngest or the oldest, the message is the same and the message is something that we can all tap into. If you remember, last week we looked at Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem with all the people waving their palm leaves and shouting and celebrating. It was a really exciting time. What we're looking at this week is the Last Supper. Jesus and his friends had gone out for a meal and Jesus knew this was the last meal he was going to eat before he was arrested. But I'm getting really far ahead of myself. I've got a quick question for you. Do you have to do any jobs around the house, like tidying your bedroom or tidying up other bits of the house, washing up maybe, stacking or emptying the dishwasher? Who cleans the toilet in your house? If you have pets, who cleans up after them? One of my least favourite jobs to do is changing the cat litter. Yuck. Wouldn't it be lovely if somebody came in and did those jobs for us? If we had a servant who just came in and picked up everything and cleaned up everything so that we didn't have to. Back in Jesus' time, people always had their feet washed when they came in for a meal, if they came into somebody else's house for a meal, because the roads were really dusty and dirty and they all wore sandals. And then when they ate together, they sat on the floor on cushions so their feet were really close to the food. So a servant would wash their feet. I'm going to read to you what happened when Jesus and his friends went for this meal. Jesus knew that the Father had given him power over everything. He also knew that he had come from God and was going back to God. So during the meal, Jesus stood up, he took off his outer garments, he wrapped a towel around his waist, then he poured water into a bowl, and he took this bowl to each one of his disciples and he washed their feet. And he dried their feet with the towel that he'd wrapped around him. When Jesus got to Simon Peter, Peter said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You don't understand what I'm doing now, but you will understand later." Peter said, "No, you will never wash my feet." And Jesus answered, "If I don't wash your feet, then you're not one of my people." So Simon Peter answered, "Lord, after you wash my feet, wash my hands and my head too." Jesus said, after a person has a bath, his whole body is clean. He needs only to wash his feet. And you men are clean, but not all of you. Jesus knew that one of his friends would turn against him, and this is why he said, not all of you are clean. When he'd finished washing their feet, he put his outer clothes back on, and he sat down again. And he said to them, "Do you understand what I've just done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and that's right, because I am. I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet. So you also should wash each other's feet. I did this as an example for you, so you should do as I've done for you. I tell you the truth, a servant is not greater than his master. A messenger is not greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, you will be happy if you do them." What surprises you about that story? I always like the fact that Jesus, the Son of God, the King of Kings, who came from heaven to earth to save us, the most powerful man on the planet, wasn't too good to wash other people's feet, wasn't too good to serve people, wasn't too good to love people and show he loved them by serving them. How would you feel if Jesus washed your feet? I can't imagine. You know, we were talking about Queen Elizabeth last week and all the different things she would need if she was coming to town. Could you imagine if she came to town and had dinner with you and washed your feet? It pickles my brain. Peter found it really embarrassing, didn't he? He didn't like the idea of Jesus serving him, but he let him do it. At the end of the story, Jesus says, "You will be happy if you do these things." What does that mean for us? How can we serve one another? Especially at the moment we can't meet and have meals together, and it would be a bit odd if we got a bowl of water out and started washing each other's feet, because we don't do that for meals anymore. We all wear shoes and we take them off when we go into people's houses, so we don't need to do that kind of thing. But can you think of any ways that you could serve someone this week? One of your friends at school or nursery, or do something for your parents that normally they would do for you. Have a think about it, because one of the best ways to be like Jesus is to do the things that Jesus did, and he served other people. So have a think about how you can serve other people. But you know, that wasn't the only thing that happened at that meal. The next bit that happened is probably one of the most famous meals ever. Jesus and his 12 friends sat down to eat. There was lamb and bread and wine, a nice meal. But Jesus was sad. "What's the matter, Jesus?" asked one of his friends. "I have to go away tomorrow," Jesus sighed, "and I will miss you very much." Jesus' friends were surprised. "Where are you going?" they asked. "I'm going to be with my Father in heaven," he whispered. "I'm going to die." Now Jesus' friends were sad too. "There are people here in Jerusalem who don't like me," Jesus explained. "They do not agree with what I teach. They do not believe I come from God. And tomorrow they will arrest me and hurt me and nail me to a cross and kill me." "No," said Jesus' friends. "They will not do that. We won't let them." Jesus looked at them sadly. "One of you has already taken money from them and agreed to help them catch me." Jesus' friends stared at each other. "Well, it's not me. No, it's not me. I certainly didn't do it." But one of them, a man named Judas, just looked at Jesus. Then he stood up and walked out of the room. "Let him go," Jesus told the others. "We have something more important to do." And with that, Jesus took a chunk of bread and said a thank you prayer. "I will never forget you," he said to his friends, "and I don't want you to forget me either." Then he broke the bread in half and passed it round. "This is my body," he said. "I gave it up for you. Take it and eat it, and remember me." Then he took a cup of wine and said a thank you prayer for that as well. "This is my blood," he said. "God will use it to wash away all the bad things anyone has ever done. Take it and drink it and remember me." Then Jesus and his friends sang a goodbye song and walked out together into the night. Now that might be really familiar to you because that's something that we do together as a church. We used to do it when we were all together in the same building, and we do it sometimes on a Sunday morning now. We will each have a piece of bread and we will each have a drink of wine or squash, or it doesn't really matter what it is because it's a symbol, it's representing, it's in place of Jesus' actual blood. But we do that to remember that his body was broken for us, to remember that his blood was spilled for us so that we could be saved. So there are two ways to help us remember what Jesus did at the Last Supper, to remind us that not only did he know what was coming, he chose to do it, he chose to accept it for us, and we can remember it by serving others, by being his hands and his feet and his eyes and his ears on earth, and by sharing communion, by having the bread and the wine to remember the sacrifice that he made for us. And I think the more we think about it, the more we appreciate it, and the more we appreciate it, the more we celebrate it. So if you find a really creative way to serve someone this week, send us a picture, tell us about it, drop us an email, and we'd love to hear how you guys are being Jesus on earth. We'll find out what happened next week. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.